Hi guys, this is Yao again. And if you're in Taiwan, you probably noticed that people can be very kind. But sometimes the way they speak can feel a little bit like dancing a waltz, requiring some sort of finesse and precision. So, in this episode, we're going through my most misunderstood phrases in Taiwan. Let's get to it. Coming back from Latin America forced me to rewire my social skills. For a while, I was stuck between this limbo of being too shy for the West and too upfront for the East. Have you ever asked a Taiwanese friend if they want to hang out and the only thing they say is, háihǎo? You know when fine doesn't always mean fine? Well, get ready because we have háihǎo isn't always for good, 不 isn't always negative, 先 isn't always for first, 应该 isn't always for maybe. And of course, it may vary from person to person, and I just thought it would be interesting to share these commonly misunderstood phrases during my rewiring. But don't just take it from me. I have here 3 of these phrases. Let's fact check our people.
啊，抽看看，抽一个，再抽一个。想要约的人，你会跟他说下次再约？
不会，只是敷衍他一下。
如果说可能会欧趴，会欧趴吗？
不一定哦。
哦，所以是不一定会欧趴。你问别人说要吃饭，然后人家跟你说还好，他饿不饿？
不饿。
不饿。那他饿的话，他会说什么？
我很饿。
还好是好还是不好？
可以好，也可以不好，可以委婉的讲好，也可以委婉地讲不好。
那我们再约，
就是不会再约了，
就不会再约。
我们再约，
跟你说我们再约是什么意思？
就是可能拒绝你吧，
是拒绝，
敷衍的感觉。
OK，
谢谢你们，谢谢，趁一个下课时间配合我们。我们再约，拜，再约。
Beyond just indirectness, these polite responses are often loaded with subtext. People use them to avoid saying what they really mean. It makes me wonder about the Mandarin language itself. What ultimately shaped its modern form? Could it be a combination of cultural conditioning, our collective mindset, or social interactions?
It's a social minefield out here, and we all struggle to say no. So, I decided to ask an expert about it. Politely, of course. 我有一个非常好奇的一个问题，就是说，为什么我们台湾人那么委婉？
台湾人这个说法其实是一个整体性的，不要忘了它还是有世代的差异。它基本上是属于儒家文化，那儒家文化呢，本来就比较强调待人要温和，所以简单的讲，与人客气这件事情，传统的儒家文化哪怕在台湾这个地区也根深蒂固。再来，如果再从另外一个角度来看，因为台湾传统是属于农业社会在传统的农业社会底下，比较属于温和客气的。台湾话有一句话讲叫这个倒卡丘。
倒卡丘
就是，比如说我们家如果种田的时候，隔壁的叔叔伯伯也会来帮忙，一种生活的模式。也步调也比较慢一点，不需要像商业社会非常竞争。这一点呢，也会让所谓的台湾人传统的社会底下长大的人呢，会显得比较客气、比较温和一点。人的行为表现模式有基因遗传的影响，那也有环境的影响，包括个性本身也会多多少少受到基因因素的影响，这一点是确定的。可是社会环境的影响会更大，也就是说，你在一个社会环境底下，会在这个耳濡目染的情况底下呢，就自然的养成那样的互动模式，甚至变成一种风气，由风气又变成一种文化。
101 to 199. 115. 我要这个。
We're now at the Sixing University Mandarin Teaching Center, talking to students at different levels. Let's find out how their perspective on Taiwanese polite talk changes as they get more fluent.
Hello. Hey, Lin Yao. 我要鸡排。
非常好。
I want to hear you guys firsthand because you guys are learning it from the ground up. Yeah. What is the most difficult and the easiest thing in Mandarin?
I would say for the easiest and the hardest thing, I would say the Chinese sign. It's kind of complicated for us as Europeans to memorize all the Chinese signs. But at the same time, when we learn, like for example, this sign, we can learn much more words about it. So I think it can be at the same time the hardest way and the easiest thing about Mandarin language.
The easiest one might be the grammar. For me as a Polish, that my language is complicated in grammar.
Right? In 中文 so very hard. In Indonesia like A, B, C, D.
因为中文只有汉字，所以我觉得对文字这个方面来说的话，我觉得中文比较简单。日文不止汉字，还有很多文字，所以会要学到会有点感觉困难一点。
Because language is part of culture, and I think maybe Taiwanese are more indirect compared to some European countries. It reminds me of a story like 1 week ago, we wanted to go out and one of our Taiwanese friends, he didn't know if he really wanted to come. We went to the MRT and each station he was like, maybe I could, I don't know, but like, just say you don't want to come, it's okay. And he will try to look at his phone, he was looking at nothing. Just trying to...
So what did he say? Did he speak in English or did he say something in Chinese? I think
he has a perfect English. So
it's a perfect
He says in English, but even if he says in English, I think his Taiwanese heart speak for himself, you know?
Okay. And his words are like, maybe I won't go, 可能, right? 可能不会去. And basically, the maybe is not necessary. It's basically a no. Maybe no is no. Maybe yes is yes. At least it's my experience, of course, because when I came back. So, if it can already hold a conversation in Mandarin, what other surprises does the language still throw at you? 那在这个3年你在学习中文之后，有没有遇到一些让你就是 confused 的感觉？
就是我们日本人来说，聊天的时候，我们不说等一下这样，我们说1个小时后，2分钟后这样。所以我听那个我等要什么，我等一下要什么，那我就觉得结果什么时候这样子？对，
你是希望什么时候？
就是5分钟吗？还是半小时后吗？对，这样子。
OK
我觉得是这样。好。
I work part-time in a restaurant and I do like service like a waiter and probably I would say something like, oh, they want a combo, they want fries, and then they will say, oh, 先不用, and then like at first I would say, oh, okay, so maybe I will ask later, but then like they would just straight up pay for the dinner, so I was like, okay, so maybe you don't want it, and then I realized that then 先不用 meaning it's just like 不要.
It's just no.
It's just no.
Okay.
But it's not a word. It's just like a situation, I would say.
A dance.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, basically a dance.
Usually like to see, to watch, to observe the people around you, how they talk and how they behave. And then for you, it will be easier to learn the language if you act like a native. And the second thing is that Italians are really direct. If you are like this, oh, maybe they should blah, 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 they will say, oh, you're fake. What are you doing? Just tell me.
So maybe being direct in Italy is not impolite.
Yes.
Like you just like, no, it means no, and then everybody's okay.
Yes.
Do you want to go eat? No. And I just turn around, and that's fine.
Yes.
It makes me wonder, for a non-native speaker fluent enough to use all those tricky phrases, what aspects of Mandarin still leave them scratching their heads?
Politeness is also something very cultural, so we need to have the same social values. such that I can say a hidden message which is packed with politeness, and you can understand that. I had a lot of problem with these two phrases.
Okay.
The first one is háihǎo.
háihǎo.
So to me, when I ask someone, do you like this kind of food? And they reply to me, háihǎo. So to me, it's like quite good if I have to translate it to English. So if it's something is quite good, it means that it's delicious. Actually, in Chinese, háihǎo, it means I won't have it anymore. It was not as good as I expected.
Right. That was the first one. And how about the second one?
The second one is bùcuò. And if you had a translation for that, it's like not bad. So to me, at least in French, I don't know about English, but in French, if you say that something is not bad, it's like it's so-so. It's like quite average. But when you hear bùcuò in Chinese, it means it's quite good actually. It's really good.
So the 不 is actually kind of enhancing the fact that it's, do you think it's enhancing or?
I think it's something very weird because 不 it's a negator.
Yeah.
So it's supposed to be something quite negative in a way. When 错 it's like a mistake, something bad. And so we had these the semantics of these two words which are quite negative.
Yeah.
But actually it's used to express something very positive. It's a kind of Chinese politeness to express something totally different from the original meanings of the word. And I think this is the main challenge for foreigners who are learning Chinese, in that our social values may be different depending from where we come from.
Right.
And sometimes we take this message as a direct message and we don't get the hidden message behind that.
Whether it's protecting one's reputation or keeping the peace, every single culture has its own way of softening words. That's why what you say and how you say it matters. And as long as we're honest and open to learn from one another, a little bit of extra politeness never hurts. Thanks for watching. Catch you in the next one.